Here's a story that was told to me. It must have been about 20 years ago, maybe more, by a man called Pinchas Segal. Pinchas Segal. And he told me a story about his brother who was called Shalom Ber Segal. Amazing story. His brother, Shalom Ber Segal, was a great scholar, a Talmud. He lived in Bnei Brak. And he was like a rabbi in one of the yeshivas of Chatam Sofer. Chatam Sofer yeshivas, I think it was in Bnei Brak. Chatam Sofer, they're like Hungarish, from Hungary. Jews were Hungarish Jews. But there's all sorts of different schools of Jews. And the Hungarish Jews, like the Chatam Sofer, they're unique Jews, usually very friendly, very open, scholarly. Anyway, and so he was, but this Shalom Ber, he's a Chabad. He was a Chabad Chassid. Now, Chabad has a book called the Tanya, which usually is only learned in Chabad circles, and it's learned in Chabad yeshivas. The boys learn in the Chabad yeshivas, they learn it. There's other groups that they learn the book Tanya, but informally on their own. But Chabad, they learn it in the yeshiva. They learn in the yeshiva. It talks about spiritual things like we learned about in Likutei Torah. So in these yeshivas where young boys learn, boys, 13, 14, 15. He saw one young fellow, 15 years old, whatever, and he was learning Tanya. In these yeshivas, usually they have like a half an hour a day to learn Musar, or to learn some sort of a philosophy, practical philosophy book of Judaism. I don't know exactly how it's called. Self-help, you want to call it, books in Judaism. And there's a lot that the Lubavitcher Jews, they have, there's Masulas Yeshorim, and there's some people learn the what is it, Shari Tshuva of Rabbeinu Yonah. There's different books which are, how to fix your personality up. So you just don't sit and learn Talmud all day and try to glean, character improvement from the Talmud. There are great scholars and great geniuses that wrote books to help us, fix up our personality, get rid of anger, get rid of this, to be more devoted to God. Famous one is Chovot HaLavavot, the duties of the heart. Anyway, but he saw this one boy who was sitting and learning Tanya, which that was very unusual. So he went to the boy and he said, I know this book pretty well. You have any questions? If you do, you can come to me. So I think the boy came to him once in a while and asked questions, but he said, why are you learning this book? I mean, this book is not usually learned in your yeshiva. So he said, well, I asked the rabbis here and they said that I can learn it. They're not opposed to it. So the rabbi said, okay, the rabbis aren't opposed to you learning, but why do you want to learn it? He said, the Lubavitcher Rebbe told me to. He said, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he told you to read this book? How is that? So this is the story. Now the story begins. So he said that they have a large family, and his sister, I guess the oldest one in the family, she was like the valedictorian of her class, a religious Jewish school. And anytime somebody had to make a speech, she was the speaker. And anytime they meet, guests coming in, she was the one that met the guests, girls' school. And one day she woke up in the morning and she couldn't talk. She lost her voice. So I figured, okay, laryngitis happens, So they waited a day, 2 days, she couldn't talk. So they didn't know what was going on, and they called up from the school, they asked what's happened, and said, we don't know, she lost her voice, she can't talk. And so they recommended a good doctor, whatever. She went to the doctor, and the doctor looked at her and said, how long has this been going on? They said, for a couple of days. And the doctor said, there's absolutely no way. He said, she hasn't got any muscles on her vocal cords. Something's wrong with her vocal cords this girl has never spoken in her life. There's no way she could speak. It's incurable. There's no operation can fix this. And they said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She was speaking just a few days ago. She could speak. So the doctor says, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want anything to do with it. So finally, they got names of bigger doctors and bigger doctors and bigger doctors. Until finally, they got the name of one really big doctor. And some big professor, whatever it is, I think in New York. And they went to this professor, and they went to all these doctors. They all said the same things. And they went to this one big professor, and he said, I don't understand, why are you bringing this girl to me? I mean, she's never been able to speak in her whole life. She says, what are you talking about? She was able to speak. So this, the doctor, he even called up the school where she was. You don't believe us? Call up the school. He called up the school in Israel. And they said, this is Dr. whatever his name, and this girl, what's her name? Was she able to speak? He said, of course she's able to speak. She's the spokesman for her. What's wrong? Is she something's wrong with her? He said, the doctor said, I don't understand what's going on. And he closed the phone, said, I don't understand what's happening. There's I've never seen a thing like this. There's no way that she could have spoken before. But there's nothing I can do. Okay, so when they were in America, they stayed by a family member, and he suggested, Maddie, why don't you go to the Lubavitcher Rebbe? So they have no opposition to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. They weren't opposed to him, but on the other hand, they had no connection to him. So they called up, they made an appointment, and they got in to see the Rebbe. And they brought the whole family in. And so they came into the whole family, and this boy that's telling the story, that he's learning the Torah, the Tanya, he said, I was there also. They brought me in also. And the Rebbe asked if everyone would leave, and he wanted to be alone with our sister. He said, okay. So the Rebbe said to our sister, listen to this. This was told to me by this Rabbi Pinchas Segal. So the Rebbe said that I'm going to tell you something now, and you're a mature girl, so I think you'll understand what I'm saying. He said, you are a incarnation, a Gilgul of someone that did not good things in the previous life, not good things. And because of that, you were supposed to come into this world mute, not to be able to speak from the day you were born. But you have holy ancestors and a lot of merit from them, and they interceded on your behalf in heaven. And therefore, you were given the ability to speak for whatever, 13 years, 15 years, however old the girl is now. So, and that merit is finished. And that's why you can't speak now. You could speak up until whatever was up 2 weeks ago. And yet, now, if you accept on yourself, the Rebbe says to her, if you accept on yourself to make Shabbat programs for non-religious girls that are in your area, and invite these girls to come on Shabbat and make programs for them, is in the merit of that, your speech will come back. Do you accept on yourself? And she shook her head. The Rebbe said, say yes. She said, say yes. The Rebbe said, go outside and call your parents. So she went outside and called her parents. As soon as she went outside and talked, her parents were yelling, screaming, hugging her, happy. They couldn't believe it. They all came into the Rebbe's office. They had been crying from joy. And the Rebbe spoke to each one of them. And the boy said, the Rebbe asked me where I learned. And I said, I learned in Khatam Sofer. And the Rebbe said, I'm sure that they won't oppose if you request that you want to learn the Tanya every day. 15 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. Learn the Tanya every day. I'm sure that they won't have any opposition to that. And he said, the boy said, that's why I'm learning the Tanya. So it ended up that the Rebbe had the ability to somehow or other look in the previous incarnations and spiritual, and he knew exactly how to fix it up. And the way to fix it up was that she had to do good deeds. And by her good deeds, it negated all the bad that was in the previous incarnation and fixed up the present one so that she was able to speak again. That's the power of the Mashiach, to heal the sick and to make the mute speak. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you all tomorrow.